When I press record, we're back again for another DJ Notulus show. Without DJ Notulus, we're not sure where he is, but we do know on the 26th of this month he'll be getting an award. Congratulations, Notchy, wherever you are, sir. KTB, not here, busy decorating, working hard. So, what have we got on the agenda this evening? Well, we're going to dip into... regular listeners will know that Aston Walker, yeah, that's your presenter here, your host for the next, hour or so, has been censored, yes, and by no less comic heavyweight, he says it in inverted commas, Lenny Henry, yeah. Sir Lenny, BAE Systems Henry, yeah. Et al. Afterlack, Leanne Forbes, Dr. Michael Bickerton, and Dr. Carlo Harvey, all censoring my research work, which is extremely popular. Yeah, it's very popular research. And such as its popularity, I've decided to go for a world record. That's right. So Birmingham, and BCU is not, this won't be the first time. I believe it was a chap, he ran in a costume dressed as a cello, as a settler cello, and he entered the Guinness Book of Records. So our attempt is a bit more scientific, shall we say. Still entertainment, still keeping it entertaining, and it's for a AI generated graphic novel. Yeah, as you know, regular listeners will know, we're all about game development, Unreal Engine, cool films, sci-fi, all that great stuff. As a vehicle, really, and this connects back to the Lord Curzon BCU entity, back to science and graphene and UVC LED water sterilizers. So it was in that vein. And also, we've spoken, again, for regular listeners, every story needs an antagonist and a protagonist. And the antagonists, in keeping with Frantz Fanon Research Centre and Afro-Caribbean Millennium Centre and Katanga and the horrible Lenny Henry disrespect to the black community in the 70s. He was a black and white minstrel, or worked with them anyway, BBC, so that kind of all marries up quite nicely. So anyway, protagonists, Afro-Nazis, devils, Satanists of all sorts. That's what we've lumped them in. So we've lumped them in there. So, one could say it's a theatrical, satirical performance. That's one way of looking at it. However, the serious work is engineering, science and the arts. Anyway, good. So what has Aston learnt this past week? Well, we have learnt via TikTok, the mighty TikTok algorithm. Yes, we do love the TikTok algorithm. And what have we learned? Well, we learned that Europe has never had a civilization. No, there's never been a civilization. And the word itself, civilization, being a 15th century word to justify the transatlantic slave trade, which was in of itself from the satanic Sunni Arab colonizer cult, which we have talked about at length. Other views and other opinions are available in keeping with the academic and scholarly nature of this particular show and lecture. So there you have it. So it's never had a civilization. When the Romans, who our European brethren, shall we say, European brethren, sistren and brethren, they emulate the Greeks. They stole it from the Greeks, and upon invading, they discovered the scrolls. And the Greeks themselves, who, again, Greek was not a civilization. They stole all that from Africa, of course. Kemet, to be precise. See, the key thing about civilization, this is the hypocrisy. We go back to Lord Curzon. We'll touch on that later. The great hypocrisy, the dichotomy, the paradox, if you will, of claiming to be a civilization is you need that peace. You need that long gap of sort of civility, yeah, where there's no CIA or MI6 assassinations, for example. That doesn't sort of help. Or we can even go far back to 1066 and William the Bastard, of course, of Normandy, and his Norman mass murder of the indigenous people of Albion, and so on and so forth. But anyway, so not a civilization. And the Romans themselves, Rome was not a civilization. It was a decadent paedophile entity, a satanic paedophile entity. And that was their undoing also. So that was the undoing of the Roman Empire. And when it split, and this will bring us up to date with Iran firing and destroying entities in Pakistan and so forth, and Hamas and Zionism and Israel and so on and so forth, Balfour Declaration and so on and so forth. So when the Roman Empire split, we had Byzantium, of course, in Constantinople, which is Turkey, Marmaris, all that good stuff. And the inheritors of Byzantium, blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mentioned in the Quran, of course, is the Russians, which is Putin, the mighty Russian army, technological superiority, obviously very well established. So we're bang up to date. So civilization, Europe never had one. The sort of co-opting of sort of brown people. We've got the Book of Clarence, which mega flop by Jay-Z, of course, 40 million down the drain. So we have the adoption of Jesus, peace be upon him, the Prophet Isa bin Maryam, by way of sort of, I don't know, could you call it a sticking plaster of civilization? Or the veneer, or a very superficial facsimile of civilization. But anyway, so we know Russia inherited the sort of took up the mantle of an actual civilization. So we've talked about, and I've noticed online, there's a wonderful graphic, I don't know if you've seen it, listeners, of the colonization of North Africa by the Sunni Arab sort of cult, Abu Bakr prophet killer cult. Very interesting graphic that's gone viral. And as I said, regular listeners will know I talk to a lot of a lot of students in Africa. I talk to regularly on Facebook and WhatsApp and ResearchGate, which we'll get onto later on. And it's just fascinating how the terrible, terrible things that are happening in the Middle East are bringing out this sort of like, let's call it citizen journalism, really, because people are really looking at history in a very serious way. And I talk to a lot of Jewish brothers and sisters who are from Israel or whatever, and the discussions and the debates going as far back as Umar al-Khattab and the son of Marwan. Again, these are people who Allah have cursed. Other opinions are available, of course. And the whole Al-Aqsa project, Al-Aqsa Mosque itself, was not by divine decree. Yeah? So we've got colonizers fighting colonizers. At least that's my conclusion. That's the Aston Walker conclusion. Other views are available in keeping with objectivity and balanced academic discourse. Good. So what I then extrapolate from that, don't worry, we're getting to the world record. What I then extrapolate from that is artificial intelligence, because we have the intelligence that is from Allah, knowledge, ilm, aql, intelligence, so on and so forth. And what is manufactured and man-made, the idol worshipping, the worshipping of cults of personalities throughout history, documented or undocumented, oral traditions and so forth, that I posit, and this is revolutionary. This is revolutionary scholarship here. I am positing and postulating, this is my thesis, that those in regards to Abu Bakr, Umar and Aisha and so on, and the Sunni milieu, atmosphere, if you will, that was artificial intelligence. when we look back at the Torah, when we look back at the Injil and the Gospel and the corruptions of these religious documents, that is artificial intelligence. So we have, I think Rice University have done a paper where the artificial intelligence, when it was actually fed artificial intelligence generated content to train the data sets in order to get the output that you all know and love, of course, the model collapses, and that's because parasitically, it's a very parasitic system, virus, which you know, of course, in computer taxonomy and nomenclature. So the system eats itself. It needs fresh human input in order to get good AI outcomes, because literally it's a facsimile, it's imitating real intelligence, which is human intelligence. We've talked about Nick Bostrom, the Oxford Cambridge professor, academic, futurism, and some other weird theories he's come up with, just Satanism. As we said on this show, we lump that which is the antithesis to the Quran and Ahlul Bayt, we call it Satanism. It's easier, it makes the flow of the conversation, the discussion easier. So anyway, so the Elon Musks and the transhumanists and various Satanists and whatever, their whole thing is to promote artificial intelligence. Now, oxymoronically and hypocritically, some may even say, well, Aston, you've published a book using AI. You've dabbled and you've gone to ChatGPT and Gemini Bard, and you've used Sunni Shia polemics very successfully, because the actual systems apologise. When I mentioned to Gemini, this is my recent research, I tend to do it every 12 months now. I've got into a bit of a rhythm now. The Gemini Bard system apologized to me when I said, well, Allah has cursed the disbelievers in the Quran. He said, no, it hasn't, and da-da-da-da-da. And then when I actually pointed out the actual surah and ayah, the system, AI system, then said, well, we're sorry, you're right. And there you go, the QED, the rest is history, as they say. Now, again, all of this research that I publish on ResearchGate, Lenny, BAE Systems, Comet Relief Henry, and Dr. Carlo Harvey et al. Got the police on me. They tried to stop my research going up on ResearchGate. It actually came down twice because of the sheer number of scholars around the world who were taking an interest in Aston Walker's undergraduate, non-degree, because I haven't got a degree, research. And we've talked about academic envy, the pettiness of BCUs are very petty. The academics are very petty. Very petty. It's just weird conversations. And the academic envy and pettiness led them to make the fundamental miscalculation, because the debates are going, oh, Aston, he doesn't deserve anything. Who does he think he is? He's arrogant. I don't like him. I don't like his voice. Get rid of him. While they're quaffing wine or raping whatever, or doing whatever satanic Baal, Aussie bull weirdness, whatever. Because I have linked Lord Curzon to Aleister Crowley. That's why I'm speaking in such terms. So, again, that's all on ResearchGate. So, they've been trying to censor my work. They've been trying to get it removed from ResearchGate. I'm on the BCU film on Facebook, Dr. Michael Bickerton there, and Dave Taylor, Creative Networks, all that good stuff. So the amount of reads, because I am one of the most read academic scholars at BCU, because my research is obviously of interest to other scholars and academics. And the most recent paper is, I'll just read it out to you. That'll be better. Oh no, I won't be reading it out to you. Let me switch to a mobile phone. Yeah, that was via the old laptop. That was a bit of a failure. But anyway, so what we've had to do, I say we, but I mean myself, was to write a paper to look at and to validate the reads, the amount of people that read the research on ResearchGate, because I'm acutely aware that when I sort of talk, and this is only, I'd say it's more Birmingham thing than anything else. I can't say I was received in the same light in London or Czech Republic or Syria or whatever. People don't believe a word that I say. Yeah, it's like Aston's talking. Don't believe a word that I say. He's a liar. He's rubbish. Blah, blah, blah. So I kind of get that. Yeah, I kind of understand it. I'm very comfortable with it, and this is why on last week's show, which is now on YouTube, of course, I talked about death. Victory is in the grave, because as a Muslim, I believe in the hereafter. I believe that Allah is all powerful. That there's no la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no movement or power unless Allah wills it. So this idea that Sir Lenny Henry, MI5 and whatever other satanic or CIA, whatever, can intimidate me, or Sunni or ISIS can intimidate and bully me with death and the threat of this prison and that death, and doesn't make any sense, because when I die, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, the return of all is to Allah. So death is the beginning of life. This is what I believe. I'm putting it on the record today. Yes, I'm just putting that on the record. So Sir Lenny, Dr. Carlo Harvey, Afterlack, etc., all these weird and wonderful people, they're assuming, don't give him any money. No money for him. No, don't give him the oxygen of publicity. Even though they've got my picture all over the Vodafone adverts and Ars Electronica, and it's the name of a German Berlin company. Calm down. And other such things. Prospectus, Steam House, this blah blah blah. This idea that I'm waking up or coming on radio and having to deal with this rubbish. Yeah, and it is rubbish. Yeah, Lenny Henry, Dr. Kais, Afterlack, the CEB, Max Sharma, and Rayan Banan, they're retracted. It is rubbish, but it's one of those things that has to be dealt with. Black people, especially, let's just stick with Birmingham, black academics studying, doing their masters, doing degrees, etc. I've heard it time and time again, the racism, the nasty pettyisms. Obviously, it's not just Birmingham, but that's the point. I have the broad enough shoulders to withstand the criticism and the BBC slaggings. Who does he think he is? We won't have him on the BBC or the ITV or Channel 4, that him, and all that petty. I can handle it, yeah, because as I've said, I have to die. Lenny Henry has to die. Carlo, all of us, you're not immortal. You might think you're immortal with whatever God you're worshipping, but you're not. And that is where this matter will be dealt with. Yeah, I have certitude in that, and it is sufficient for me. Okay, and all of my research is in this vein. If you type in Aston Walker ResearchGate, you'll see all the research. So the idea that I'm getting up every morning and thinking about these morons, professors, academics, no. Let's go through the list before we read out the world record attempt. Let's just go through it. So it's water sterilizers, which we developed here. It's graphene sensors, which are so sensitive they can measure EEG and the footsteps of a spider and an ant, of course, very sensitive sensors with the academics here, Trinity College Dublin. So that's two things, right? Challenging and doing research into ChatGPT, artificial intelligence using Sunni Shia polemics. Then there's developing content with the young people with artificial intelligence. And then there's training people in C++, training people in computer games development, which is obviously very popular. A lot of people I'm still writing my second novel and working on a second feature film. getting a crew together. So all of these things are what Aston Walker is absorbed in. Yet we're in a situation where, because Sir Lenny Henry, in his arrogance and his satanic pomp, Lord Curzon type pomp, he doesn't deign to address the matter of Dr. Carlo Harvey and censoring my work, because ultimately the censorship of any human being who is seeking the truth, seeking to help other people less fortunate themselves, or people who, can't have access to resources or whatever, this idea that you're going to censor them, that you're going to sanction them, that you're going to bully them with institutional bullying and racism and secret Hitler, this is ridiculous. Anathematizing me and trespass notices and banning me from this place, yet inviting me and sending me emails, and it's just ridiculous. Yet the sensible thing to do is for brother Lenny, come on the show. Let's have a mature discussion about it. I know you think I'm beneath your feet and dog feces. That's fine. I don't mind. You know what I mean? But if you're a man, then let's have a mature discussion about it. Dr. Carlo Harvey, I extend the same invitation to your good self, because, as I said, I defend Dr. Carlo Harvey and Lenny, BAE Systems, Henry. I defend their right to offend, and I also defend my right to be offended. That's how it works. That's how maturity works. Good stuff. Okay, so we've gone over Europe. Never had a civilization. We've gone over the AI feeding off itself and breaking down. We've covered that. Good. So the rewriting of history, this very satanic idea of majoritarianism, because it's a majority bullying and intimidating the minority. So the shocking thing with all what I've previously discussed, don't need to go over it again. The recording will be on YouTube. So in order to get this world record, dedication, that's what you need. In order for to qualify, and it's a 12-week, 16-week process. We're in sort of week 8 or something like that. And I had to compile a paper, which I have published on research. I've shared it with people on Facebook. The Guinness World Record evidence for number of reads on ResearchGate of the Embrace the Edge academic scholarly research paper that is a wordless, silent graphic novel. Yeah, because there's a thing called a wordless, silent graphic novel, which are graphic novels that don't actually have the bubble words like you're familiar with, like Watchmen or Spider-Man or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So in the paper, I first say, what is ResearchGate? Again, I've just copy and pasted, really, to be honest with you. So what is ResearchGate? So ResearchGate is a professional network for scientists. It's basically social media, and it's an aggregator. So it doesn't actually publish the work. I mean, you can put preprints on there, but it's not classed as publishing. That's where you have journals, scientific journals, of note, of course, yeah, and conferences where you present your papers to peers. It's peer reviewed. They look at it. Does it work? Blah, blah, blah. Whereas with myself, as I don't have a degree, as I acknowledge my teacher, Dr. Carlo Harvey, and Sir Lenny, BAE Systems Henry, I've learned, obviously, satire, the mechanics of comedy, how to put it together, etc. Obviously, he's an expert in that field. So one cannot claim any sort of scholarship or academia without acknowledging one's teacher. That is the only right and fair thing to do. So we've done that. So good. So that's ResearchGate. So it's an aggregator website. Very good. Then I've got how ResearchGate is used with caveats, because there's caveats. Different universities, like I've got Essex, I believe, Open University, Liverpool. Good. Then we go to the actual Embrace the Edge, the graphic novel. So if you type Embrace the Edge in Google, just Embrace the Edge, 150 million. I come top. Embrace Age by Aston Walker. Brilliant. No SEO. Didn't do any fancy meta tags. Didn't do any of that rubbish. I just published and that's it. And it's top of 150 million. So the Guinness World Record has an expertly trained records management team who undertakes substantial research and verification checks to confirm whether a new record has been achieved. Yeah, so that's what they're in the business of doing. So we're making this attempt, and what I've added to reinforce it, I've got like 15,000 likes since October the 19th for a set of AI images that I put together, different word combinations and so on and so forth. And it's just very, very, very popular, very popular. So that's ongoing data, if you like, likes data. Good. So on ResearchGate in 2015, added reads as a metric. So we'll talk about the metrics here. And the metrics of reads indicate that people have gone onto the ResearchGate, downloaded the paper or looked at the paper. So for this particular comic, Embrace the Edge, we have 461 reads, which doesn't sound like a lot, but as I've said week in, week out, people only read academic papers when they have to. Trust me on that one, yeah? So even getting like 2 or 3 reads is like huge, yeah? But 461 is a different order of magnitude entirely. So bearing in mind, we did this world record bid attempt at 200. Right, let's sum it up now. Let me wrap it up now rather nicely. 26 minutes. So what is at issue here? What's get to the substance, Aston? You've given us a lot of background. You've talked about censorship and how Aston just wants to get on with his life and not talk about the morons, the professors at BCU Steamhouse. What is it? Well, okay, we're in a very strange position because the same great and the good of Birmingham, Aston wants to be famous, he's going to ruin the city, he's a thief, he's a little, and all that kind of weird stuff, yeah? Because these people, it's just office politics and pettyism. Instead of just giving me a load of money to just get on with my life, just get on with it, because I'm contributing to the scientific commons. It's always a case of, well, let's moan and bitch behind his back and, this sorry to use his phraseology, but this dumb nigger or nignog or whatever they're calling me behind the scenes. And that's the black people, yeah? And Afro-Nazis, as I call them, because it's a colonial satanic mindset. That's what I'm battling against, yeah? That no one can sit down and just have a normal conversation and just say, well, look, Aston, the censorship of your work, the sort of like calling the police, the petty trespass, and, we apologise. Afterlek, Lenny Henry, Dr. Carlisle, these people are not going to apologise. I accept that. They think I'm stupid. They think I'm an idiot. I get that. So with these numbers now on ResearchGate, which these scholars themselves are members of, contribute to, should it occur that the good people at the Guinness World Records, I've got to mention Michael Litvat from IBM, who co-signed the work. So extra big shout out to Michael Litvat from IBM partners, venture partners. So they're like in charge of ventures and mergers, big dogs. We're talking like $100 million, yeah, to start with, yeah. So they've co-signed my work. They're interested in my work. They've put their names to it. So anyway, going back to the great and the good of Birmingham, £72 million for Steamhouse, of course. So they're all very powerful. They've got lots of money and they can show off and all the rest of it. So with the numbers of reads for academic research papers, if we don't get the world record for the most reads, then the whole system collapses. Dr. Carlo Harvey's metrics collapses. Afterlex collapses. It all collapses because I've done the due diligence and presented my evidence in a, on the appropriate platform for scrutiny, for peer review. So that's what's at stake here. So at BCU, they're sort of going on about, oh, he doesn't deserve a world record. Who does he think he is? He'll never get that. He'll never get that. Aston, no, he's a blagger. He's a blagger. That's how they talk. I've heard this. Yeah, it's okay. But it's not a problem. You can't please everybody. Not everyone's going to like you, and ignorant people are just that, ignorant. They ignore reality. Me, I try to focus on knowledge, teaching, humility, and that stood me in good stead. That's why I'm in the position that I am in today, because it's about working with people. It's about listening, listening, taking criticism, being, taking admonishment. If you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. If you're guilty, you're guilty. This I know all about, of course. Crown Court, etc. Judge Melbourne, KC, I believe now, yeah? King's Counsel, and all that good stuff. So the ability to be self-aware, and this is all about self-awareness. I am self-aware of how I'm coming across. Oh, he's moaning. Stop moaning. You can't say he's a black man against a black man. Why is he tearing down Lenny? We love Lenny. Grow up. Yeah? Just grow up. My work is being censored. Yeah? And my work is quite important to me. And not only have they taken away my second year at university, the Nuke Road artifact. So that was one strike against them. My paper on networking, I believe, got 86%, was talking about Starlink and using Starlink, which is Elon Musk's satellite configuration, constellation. So I investigated Starlink for game development, and my graphene sensors. Australian Army used the graphene sensors to control the quad robots, etc., etc. So all this kind of satanic MI5, MI6 shenanigans, and obviously MI5 tried to recruit me twice while I was at MP135, BCU, and all that good stuff. So this is the stakes, if you will. This is what we're talking about. So it's all very cinematic, as you'd expect from Aston Walker. But, it's irritating. I want to I'm never going to die in peace, of course, but, with all this kill Aston and so on and so forth. But the point being is, victory is in the grave. And I think I'll leave it there. I think we've got a guest coming on later on. He should be here about 7 o'clock. And then we can get into some MP3s, get into some music, get into some community chat. You're listening to Aston Walker on the DJ Notchless Show. And we'll be back after this.